Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Jasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yasodanandana Brajajana Ranjana. Yamuna Tira Vanachari. Yamuna Natiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Prabhupada ki jai. ISKCON founder Ācārya Prabhupada ki jai. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivacharya Ashtra Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki jai. Prem se ko Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopi Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhana ki jai. Shri Mayapur Dham ki jai. Shri Vrindavan Dham ki jai. Jagannath Puri Dham ki jai. Ganga Mai ki jai. Yamuna Mai ki jai. Bhakti Devi ki jai. Tulsi Devi ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Prabhupada. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nasta Praishu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavat Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtaki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So this morning we'll be reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 8, Chapter 20, Text 22. Mukunda Charana Das Brahmachari. He didn't write the verse, so if you have your devices, you can follow along. Kaye Balis Tasya Mahavibhutihi Sahardvig Ācārya Sadasya Etat Tadarsha Vishvam Trigunam Gunatmake Bhutindriyartasya Jiva Yuktam Kaye Balastasya Mahavibhutihi Sahart Vig Ācārya Sadasya Etat Tadarsha Vishvam Trigunam Gunatmake Bhutindriyartasya Jiva Yuktam Kaye Balasyasya Mahavibhutihi Sahart Vig Ācārya Sadasya Etat Tadarsha Vishvam Trigunam Gunatmake Bhutindriyartasya Jiva Yuktam Kaye Balasyasya Mahavibhutihi Sahart Vig Ācārya Sadasya Etat Tadarsha Vishvam Trigunam Gunatmake Bhutendriyartas Sayav Jiva Yuktam. Anyone else? Dharmaraja? Kaya balestasya mahavibhute Anyone else? Anyone online would like to chant this verse?
Kaya balistasya mahavibhutehe sahartvigacharya sadasya eta tadarsha vishvam trigunam gunatmake bhutendriyatarshaya jiva yuktam.
Synonyms: Kaya, in the body; Bali Mahārāja Bali; Tasya, of the personality of Godhead; Mahavibhutehi, of that person who is equipped with all wonderful opulences; Saharvik ācāryas sadasyaha, with all the priests, ācāryas, and members of the Holy Assembly. Etat, this, Didarsha, Sa, Vishvam, the whole universe, Trigunam, made of the three modes of material nature, Guna Atmake, and that which is the source of all such qualities, Bhuta, with all the gross material elements, Indriya, with the senses, Artha, with the sense objects, Ashaya, with mind, intelligence, and false ego. Jiva Yuktam, with all the living entities. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Bali Mahārāja, along with all the priests, ācāryas, and members of the assembly, observed the Supreme Personality of Godhead's universal body, which was full of 6 opulences. That body contained everything within the universe, including all the gross material elements, the senses, the sense objects, the mind, intelligence, and false ego, the various kinds of living entities, and the actions and reactions of the 3 modes of material nature. Purport. In Bhagavad Gita, the Supreme Personality of Godhead says, Aham sarvasya prabhavo mata sarvam pravartate. Krishna is the origin of everything. Vasudeva sarvam iti. Krishna is everything. Matstani sarva bhutani na chaham teshu avashtata. Everything rests in the body of the Lord, yet the Lord is not everywhere. Mayavadi philosophers think that since the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Absolute Truth, has become everything, He has no separate existence. Their philosophy is called Advaita Vada. Actually, however, their philosophy is not correct. Here, Bali Mahārāja was a seer of the Personality of Godhead's universal body, and that body was that which was seen. Thus there is Dvaita Vada. There are always 2 entities, the seer and the seen. The seer is a part of the whole, but he is not equal to the whole. The part of the whole, the seer, is also one with the whole, but since he is a part, he cannot be the complete whole at any time. This achintya, bheda, simultaneously oneness and difference, is a perfect philosophy propounded by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadam Mayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapara Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaisnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamsha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagarpati Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishabhanustita Devi Pranamami Hare Prem Vancha kalpa tribhyascha kripa sindhibhyo vacham patithanam pavinebhyo vaishnavyo namo namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Good morning everyone. Haribol. So when I was doing research on this verse, when you look up Mayavadi philosophy, there's tons of information, from letters to conversations to Srila Prabhupada's purports. Srila Prabhupada did not like this Mayavadi philosophy. So here, Bali Mahārāja says that he saw the 6 opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vamanadeva. The younger devotees, can any of you name one of the 6 opulences? Fame, okay. Beauty. Strength, wealth. Renunciation, and we said fame. Knowledge. So when we hear of these qualities, it's very attractive. But only Krishna possesses all of these to an unlimited degree. And when you hear that you can become Krishna, it sounds very attractive, isn't it? So this Mayavadi philosophy, they're impersonalists. Srila Prabhupada, he explained that Mayavadi means that they accept Krishna as God, but he assumed or took a body awarded to him from material nature, just like us. So they accept Krishna as an ordinary person, which is very offensive. And Mayavadi philosophy is very dangerous. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he said that whoever hears this is doomed. Mayavad philosophy. Therefore, he advised Mayavadi Bhashya Shunile Hayag Sarva Nash. He says if one accepts the Mayavad philosophy, his advancement is doomed forever. But Srila Prabhupada, he says, not forever, but very, very long time. Because they cannot accept serving Krishna. And we hear this all the time, and it's very popular. One devotee of Srila Prabhupada, disciple, he made an observation, and he said almost 90% of all the people we preach to, they are influenced by Mayavad philosophy. And maybe the devotees here have heard that famous pastime with Lakshman Prabhu, when he was Bhakti Larry. There was some person coming to the Krishna lounge, and he was preaching this. I'm you, you're me, we're all one. So when Lakshman heard this, he said, oh, if I'm you and you're me, then that necklace belongs to me. And he was surrounded by people, so the person, he had to give his necklace to Lakshman. And I don't know if Lakshman returned it. Does anyone know? Can you use the mic, please? Sorry. Kanai Balai reminded me of this story a few days ago.
I think he came back next week, but asking for the necklace. But I don't know. I don't remember if Lakshman gave it back. Maybe he did. I'm not sure. We could ask him.
And it sounds very romantic, you know. You're me, I'm you, we're all the same. There's no difference. But Srila Prabhupada, he says that this is known as spiritual suicide. We lose our individuality as eternal parts and parcels of Krishna. Just like last week, there was some person from India, and he was coming to Transcendental Taco Tuesday. And we were taking prasadam, and he said a very strange sentence. He said, the goal of Krishna consciousness is to merge with Krishna. And I looked at him, I said, that's not our philosophy at all. I said, our philosophy is that we want to reawaken our eternal loving service towards Krishna. It's not that we want to merge with Krishna. And he was very surprised. So you meet a lot of people that have this wrong conception of what is Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada, he explains that Mayavadis, they refuse to serve God. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada was mentioning how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he explained this Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. So there's a wonderful pastime when the Lord in his Nimai pastime, he was enjoying with his friends playing sports. And his mother, Mother Sachi, she was going to bring a dish filled with fused rice and sweetmeats. And she asked the child to sit and to eat. And Nimai, he ran away from his mother and he began to eat dirt, or he was hiding and he ate dirt. So Mother Sachi, she said, what is this? What is this? She took the dirt from the hands of the Lord and she inquired why he was eating it. Crying, the Lord inquired from his mother, why are you angry? You have already given me dirt to eat. What is my fault? And Nimai, he was playing the role of a Mayavadi. He said, fused rice, sweetmeats, and all other eatables are but transformations of dirt. This is dirt, that is dirt. Please consider, what is the difference between them? Astonished that the child was speaking Mayavad philosophy, Mother Sachi replied, who has taught you this philosophical speculation that justifies eating dirt? If everything is one, why do people generally not eat dirt and eat the food grains produced from the dirt? So the food grains come from the dirt. It grows from the dirt, but it's not the same as dirt. So replying to the Mayavad idea of the child philosopher, Mother Sachi said, my dear boy, If you eat earth transformed into grain, our body is nourished and it becomes strong. But if we eat dirt in its crude state, the body becomes diseased instead of nourished, and thus it is destroyed. And Srila Prabhupada, he would give very nice examples, just like the sun and the sunshine, or heat and light, but they're different. So light is not heat, and then heat is also not light, but you cannot separate the two. And the other example is if a green parrot enters a green tree, it's not that they become one, but there's a distinction. And the example that most Mayavad philosophers that it's like the ocean, you know, they merge back, or the rivers, they merge back to the ocean. But Srila Prabhupada, he says that this is due to lack of knowledge and that they are blind. Because although they see the rivers entering the ocean, they do not see that within the ocean there's millions of living entities, fishes and aquatics. So there's a lot of faults with this oneness that people claim. Srila Prabhupada also explains oneness means no disagreement. Just like the finger is part and parcel of the body. When the body wants the finger to move, then the finger must move. So there's oneness, but they're also different. So Srila Prabhupada, he explains that when Krishna says you do this, you must do it. That is agreement. That is oneness. And I think it's very beautiful because in this way we can explain to people that yes, we are one with God in terms of following His instructions. Not that we disobey Him or we have a different conception or idea. One disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he says they created too much argument and criticism. And then they were walking with a bunch of old friends of Srila Prabhupada. And then one of these persons, he said, India has many saints. And Srila Prabhupada said, I am the policeman, and I have to catch the thief. So Srila Prabhupada, he would not let anyone be tricked into this Mayavad philosophy. So the next day, these Mayavadi friends of Srila Prabhupada, they decided not to walk with Prabhupada. And one of them came, and he was trying to argue. But Srila Prabhupada, he just remained jolly and was correcting his friends like an older brother, teaching them pure Krishna consciousness. There's a devotee named Bhavananda, and he was speaking to Srila Prabhupada. And he said, actually, I think you're the only one on the whole planet who is not Mayavadi or influenced by Mayavadi philosophy. Actually, until you came to the West, the only philosophy that had come to America from India was Mayavad philosophy. No one knew anything else. And Ananda Vrindavan Prabhu, do you have experience of this? Yeah. Can you get on the mic, please? Because I'm not from India, so I didn't grow up, hearing all this, but...
Oh yes, I also come from Varanasi, so it's full of Mayavadis. When I was growing up, one of my teacher, I used to go to Hanuman temple, and I used to think that okay, Ramji is God and Hanumanji is the devotee in that way. But this teacher, in the class, he was saying there is no God. And I was really, getting pissed at him. But later I found out that there are many such people like him, because I was very young during that time. Mm-hmm. But there are many such people who don't believe in God, who just believe in karma.
Mm-hmm. Srila Prabhupada made a very interesting comparison. He said that the Mayavadis, they're atheists, and they're taught. Actually, he was comparing Buddhists to Mayavadis. He said that the Mayavadis, they're more degraded. The Buddhists, they're atheists. They are taught to worship the form of Lord Buddha, and Buddha is an incarnation of Krishna. So one day they will be delivered. But these rascals, the Mayavadis, they will never be delivered. So the Buddhists, they did not accept Vedic authorities. Therefore, they're considered as Nashtika. But Vedashriya Nashtika Vada, these rascals, they accept Vedas and preaches atheism. So that's Mayavadi. So they are more dangerous than the Buddhists. Even Sanatana Goswami, Srila Sanatana Goswami, in his Hari Bhakti Vilas, he has very strongly recommended that don't hear anything from Mayavadis or Vaishnavas about Krishna. So there's so many warnings from Srila Prabhupada to Srila Sanatana Goswami. So many wonderful acharyas, and they actually taught us what is real philosophy, that the soul will always be an individual, even in liberation. Okay. So I'll tell some Sankirtan stories. When I hear classes, I like to choose a little topic, whether the devotee mentioned, and I want to use it for Sankirtan. So one of these phrases was keep planting seeds. So I met this Mataji from keep planting seeds. I met this Mataji from Hungary. And she was hanging out by the table while I was speaking to people. And after this couple, they took books, she walked over. And she said, what is this about? So I was telling her that we're trying to implant seeds of knowledge, wisdom to the people that we meet. And she said, you know, I used to have a lot of money, but I misused it. And she claimed that she had millions and millions of dollars. And then she said, I tried keeping it to myself, hoarding it. And then she said, I made one wrong decision, and now I lost everything. Yeah. And then she said, when I had money, I was always in anxiety. I was always worrying about how am I going to lose my money, or how do I maintain my money. And then after she lost everything, she told me, you know, I'm actually happier now. Yeah. So I told her, so money doesn't buy happiness? And she started laughing. She said, it doesn't bring real happiness. And I asked her, what brings happiness in your life? And she said, you know, philanthropy work, helping people. So I used the example of the lost child. The lost child was trying to be pacified by given something to eat, shade, affection. But that doesn't really stop the child from crying. It's because the child is lost. And the real solution is reconnecting the child to its parents. And then it naturally follows, or naturally this follows nourishment, affection, shelter. And she said, that's a very nice analogy. And I said, that's what we're doing with these books. She said, how much are the books? And I said, whatever your heart can purchase. And then she said, she showed me her bank account. She said, I have this much. Maybe I can give you as much as I can. And she said, I told her it's all donation. And then she took the books, I gave her a bag. And then before she walked away, she said, keep planting seeds. Yeah. There was one person that I was speaking to. It's very similar, actually. You meet a lot of people from different backgrounds. And they're different professions. Like one's a teacher, a doctor, very considered to be very learned people. But when I asked them what is the goal of life, and then they pause for a minute, and I tell them, is the goal of life to acquire more and more and more. And in the back of their minds, they don't want to agree to that, but that's what they're doing, you know. So I said, what is the goal of life? And they said, the goal of life is to be happy. So I agreed. I said, yes, the goal of life is to be happy. And I told him, but a drunkard finds happiness in liquor. And then he said, that's true. So I said, what is real happiness? And this question, what is real happiness? He actually paused for a minute. And I asked him, see, real happiness, it's, I told him that happiness is a state of mind. It's not that one possesses things and thinks that's happy. And then he said, what's wrong with that? And I said, well, you temporarily have it, and then you lose it at the time of death. And then he said, I don't want to think of that. So you can see how attached he was to his possessions. So at the end of our conversation, I said, please read this book. And I gave him The Journey of Self-Discovery. And then I asked him to read the back of the book. It says, at some point, a fortunate soul wonders, who am I? Why am I suffering? And what is the meaning of life? And I said, can you point out one very special word? And he read it again. He said, I don't know what it is. And I said, fortunate. And I asked him, how many people ask these questions? And then he said, not many. So I said, so you be that fortunate soul. And then he smiled. He said, you're good. You know. I said, I just want to help people. He gave a really nice donation. He took books. And as he was leaving, he shook my hand. And he said, you know, I traveled a long way. I asked him, where are you from? He says, from Europe. And he said, I've been traveling, but this book table is the only place where I received real knowledge. You know, so I was very encouraged by that. Okay, so we have 5 minutes. Are there any questions or comments? Dravida Prabhu and then Ananda Vrindavan.
All right, just one note. Forgive me for harking back to yesterday, but in the purport to verse 15, this sentence appeared. Anyone cared for by Lord Vishnu does not need to care about anyone else. Does that sound right? Do you care about anyone else? Are you cared for by Lord Vishnu?
I like to care about people.
Of course.
Yeah.
Anyone cared for by Lord Krishna means he's a devotee, pure devotee. You care about everyone else.
Exactly.
So anyway, I researched this and I found out that what Prabhupada really meant by this is anyone cared for by Lord Vishnu does not need to worry about being cared for by anyone else. Does that sound right?
Yeah. And like you mentioned, we have different debts to the demigods, forefathers, fathers, things like that. So when a devotee surrendered, a devotee surrendered, he doesn't have to worry about these debts. Ananda Vrindavan Prabhu?
Yeah, I had this question like, do you meet Mayavadis during your Sankirtan, and how do you respond to their, do you talk to them at all, or do you just skip them? Or
I find that most of them are innocent. They're just misled by, whatever they heard. Like here in the Christian lounge also. A lot of people, they have this very strong opinion that, we're all the same, we're all one. So we have to preach to them accordingly to their level, and we have to see how much they can take. So I do engage with them, and I want to correct them. It's not that I want to leave them with a misguided, idea. So I tell them, yes, we're all one in the sense that we're all spiritual souls, but we're also individuals. And then they can understand that. And when I tell them about this spiritual suicide, it's really heavy for them to accept, that, yeah, it is suicide in a sense that I'm losing my my own individuality. And I tell them, what is the goal of being all one, and then they actually don't have an answer. So that's all as far as they know, is that we're all one, but the goal of life, they don't know. And I tell them that this is known as Mayavadi, and that, most people want to merge with the bright light. So I told them that light, that bright light, is actually as a source. And I explained that it's Krishna. And I encourage them to read a book, because like what Srila Prabhupada told I think it's Tamal Krishna Goswami. What is your 3-minute preaching going to do, you know? Get better to give him a book.
There is a Mayavadi joke. They go, like a Mayavadi went to a pizza store and he said, can you make me one with everything?
Yeah. They told that to the Dalai Lama and he didn't get it, you know. I think until one of his disciples explained to him. Balaram Prabhu?
You mentioned in your class, a point that made me think of a particular question about kirtan. And someone recently, they were saying how they really liked this particular kirtan, but they didn't really know who the person was exactly. I mean, they knew what what group he was in, because he have these different upasampradayas, like the owls and the bows and the chudadaris and the saki bekis and all these different personalities. So this kirtan leader was part of the bows movement or whatever. You like that? I didn't mean to do that. Sorry. So, but he was a very good kirtan leader. You know, like very expert with the instruments and the singing and everything, and the devotee really liked it. So, but what do we? I mean, even if someone's like really good, really expert in that way, what about? Are we supposed to be listening to those kirtans? What's the problem? What if they're, really good? They sound really devotional and everything like that.
Well, I like how Srila Prabhupada pointed out that we should listen from a Vaishnav, someone who's following principles and trying to live a pure life. Another thing I would do is probably suggest a devotee, a good kirtaniya, and then maybe they can start listening to them. But it's a little tricky because you don't want to discourage them, but at the same time you want to there's poisonous effects from listening to people that are not devotees. Does anyone have a Daniel comment or want to add something?
Thank you. So I was speaking one time before with somebody who had learned a lot about Buddhism. And he was trying to apply what he learned to Krishna consciousness. And anyway, I think I was confused about that there's a difference between Mayavadi and Buddhism, and somebody corrected me. And I still don't really know, I don't understand. So Buddhists reject the Vedas altogether, and the Mayavadis, they preach atheism through the Vedas, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so but they're both atheists.
Impersonalists.
They're both impersonalists.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the Buddhists are known as voidists.
Voidists.
Yeah.
Okay.
They want to, dismantle the material elements of the body like that. And that's why Srila Prabhupada, what is that pranam mantra? Nirvishesha Shunyavadi. So they're known as Nirvishesha. Shunyavadi, yeah. Yeah, there you go.
So, so also, I was curious about. I think we were discussing in class here about, like there's not really, you can't be like bhakti. Bhakti is a practice that's always engaged towards Krishna. But you also hear about like Hanuman Bhakta. And like how that, and Nanda Vrindavan was mentioning that there was this teacher at the Hanuman temple who was preaching atheism. I was wondering, is atheism a part of Hanuman Bhakti? Is that
We had one person here. He was a Hanuman Bhakta, or was he? Yeah, both. And our Amoga Leela Prabhu, he was a Hanuman Bhakta.
Your question, so the Hanuman Bhakta is really atheist? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Actually, yeah. Yeah? Okay. Well, if we're ready to say that the Mayavadis are atheists, in that sense, they believe in spirit, but that spirit is, undifferentiated, so there's no God distinct from anything else. So in that sense, we're ready to say that the Mayavadis are atheists. We're ready to say that those who follow Advaita philosophy are atheists. So in that way, we can also say that many of these supposed Ram Bhaktas and Hanuman followers are actually atheists because they also follow Advaita, at least like neo-Advaita people like Neem Karoli Baba. So Mogalila was a Mayavadi, and so was Francisco to some degree too. Actually, yeah, Francisco also. So both of them, they were following, they would say they're Hanuman Bhaktas, Ram Bhaktas, but really they were Mayavadis and really until really kind of coming in contact with Srila Prabhupada's explanation of things. So yeah, I've run into a number of people. We see it also in Ocean Beach. We see these Hanuman Bhaktas, and they're really atheists. They think that they will become Hanuman, become Ram. We used to have one guy coming around for a while named Ian from UCSD. It's like maybe 5 years ago, and he was, he really thought that by worshiping Hanuman, you would become Hanuman. So different kind of atheist, yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the offenses also. I think it's the second offense.
Well, in this case, I don't know if they were. I guess it's related. Yeah, I guess they were. They weren't only putting all of the devas on the same platform as the Lord. They were putting themselves also on that platform. Yeah. So even more than even worse than the second offense. Non-different. Vishnu is non-different from Hanuman, and he's non-different from me. So yeah, even worse.
Yeah. So we can see how dangerous this Mayavad philosophy is. Thank you, Dan. Any other questions or comments online? Or Dravida Prabhu? There's this disease. It's called IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. It reminded me of Bala Prabhu's joke.
He said it's unintentional. This is an accident. I got to say, it's very clever, though. Just what came to mind, and I'm sure you were citing it, about the danger of listening to Krishna Katha from non-devotees, especially Kirtan. And that's a Vaishnava Mukod Girtam Putam Harikatamitam Shavananaiva Kartabhyam Sarpotishtam Yatapaya. I think we understood that, but this is very explicitly, I think that was quoted by Sanatana Goswami. I don't think he wrote it, but it's... So, a Vaishnava Mukod Girtam, from the mouth of a Vaishnava, Putam Harikatamitam, the nectar of Harikatha, such as the holy name, which is Putam, very purifying. But Shamananaiva Kartam, one should never listen to, because it's just like milk that has been touched by the lips of a serpent. Tastes just as good. You don't taste anything bad, but it's poison. So it could be... I remember years ago, some of you may remember that Satyaraj put out a book called the Art of Kirtan or something like that. And he actually put me in there for some reason. But he had all kinds of people in there. Kṛṣṇa Das, who directly declared, I'm not a devotee of Krishna, even though he knows Kṛṣṇa Das. But he was a very skillful kirtaniya, and a lot of devotees would listen to him because, oh, so nice. But it's dangerous because it's the quality behind the kirtan. It's not just the music can infect you, and you can become.
Thank you very much. Okay, we can end here. Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.